Hey you guys, good morning healthy people. Happy Saturday, September 8th, 2018. Today's journal prompt question is, today is the first day of your new job. Now I want you to envision your title, your responsibilities, and the environment. I'm right about that. Describe what it looks like. Describe your title. Describe your responsibilities. And when you describe the environment, go into the color, the look, the scheme, the location, the people, the energy, everything. Do they have a snack machine? Do they have a cafeteria? Be as detailed as possible. I am not going to journal today. I'm going to talk and I'm going to try to be as precise as possible without rambling. Here we go. So, the reason why I chose this particular topic is because I believe in what you focus on comes to pass. I absolutely wholeheartedly believe in that. Regardless of your religion, your belief system, everyone talks about it. Gurus, motivational speakers, the Bible does talk about it, and I'm pretty sure other texts, such as the Tao and the Quran, I'm pretty sure they all have their own version of focus on good things, plain and simple, right? But as humans, we tend to focus on things that have never happened and may never happen. And then when it happens, we say we knew it was going to happen because it's probably what we was focused on. Maybe, maybe not. But I will share with you my own experiences on this, focusing on what you want and how it has come to pass for me time and time again on various occasions. I don't know if I talk a lot about my personal life. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I feel like I don't because I feel like a lot goes on behind the scenes, a lot of good things. This week has been absolutely just things have been happening that I didn't even think were gonna happen, but I don't know if I really talk about them. But here we go. In my workshops, I will talk about my past, where I came from, and where I'm at now. I do have a video that someone recorded in one of my workshops that I've just realized and remembered that I need to post. It tells my story, and I've told my story in the past, especially when I first started Habits and Lifestyles, because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. I was lost. All I knew was I wanted people to be happy, live healthier, and these are things that schools they don't teach us how to have self-love. So I knew, and I was sitting there with my buddy Alex. We was just talking about this. I was sitting there at work with him, and I was just like, self-love is so powerful. Like, it changes things. It changes the game. But, like, how do you do that? People tell you to love yourself. How you do that? Oh, you take care of yourself. You exercise. You spend your money wisely. And that's how the 7 Lifestyle Areas came about and all these other things. Actually, the business had a different name at first. Anyways, I say all that to say this. I used to tell my story. I used to rush through it because it wasn't authentic for me to tell my story. Oh, once upon a time when I was little, blah, blah, blah. I always wanted to just focus on the good. And so eventually I cut all that out. I locked all those videos on YouTube because what's the point? And now I rarely do it. I do it at my workshops just to kind of give people an idea of who I was and who I am. But this is how what you focus on and what you believe to be true happens. So at some point in my life, I never wanted, I was, well, I had my kids so young, so I can't say I never wanted kids. I was never a little girl who fantasized about having kids. I was never a little girl who fantasized about being married. However, I did know that one day if I ever got married, or if I ever had kids, I would be married to the person I had kids with. I also knew that if I ever had kids, I would have one father for my kids. I knew that if I ever had kids and got married, that man would be like my dad. He would be a provider and he would work and he would be involved. And this, I don't even know. I think it was just something I said, like, hey, and went on about my life. Anyways, ended up meeting and marrying my high school sweetheart, and he was all those things, and that's who I had kids with, and all that happened, right? Didn't think much of it, didn't think that, oh, I manifested this because I was so young. I had no idea of any of that. But then here's the funny part. I tell people this often. The life I live right now, absolutely hands down, I manifested. And it's a bittersweet story because I was married when I manifested this life. I literally would think about being an independent woman simply because, for one, I come from a long line of independent women. Although everybody was married, I did. But at that time, when I got married and I had my first child at 19, my friends were in college and they were out there doing things. They was making moves and, buying houses by themselves. And I was just like, I bought a house, but it's with my husband. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize what I had. So when you see all these relationship goals and those lives, I had that at 19 to 27, but I didn't realize what it was. I was just like, I want to buy a house by myself. I want to have a degree because I had only had my high school diploma at the time. And my dream when I was younger was always to be a lawyer. Just something professional. It was just always a dream of mine. I always felt like I'm smarter than this. Like you'll when I quit my job as an academic counselor, I was like, I'm too smart for this. I'm too smart for this. I quit. Like that's how I always felt. Dang, shout out to my dad putting all that confidence. But I was just like, I'm too smart for this. This doesn't sit right with my soul. I'm not happy when I come in here. I feel like my skills aren't being used. Anybody who knows me, if I feel like my skills aren't being used, I'll be like, I can't. That's why I love my job now, because it's a challenge every day and I get to use my skills every day. Constantly challenged. But anyways, I say all that to say this. So I was married and I would sit there while he was at work because I was a stay-at-home mom. And I would sit there and think, one day I'm going to have a house by myself. I'm going to own it. One day I'm going to have a truck. I used to want a BMW X5, and then after that I wanted a BMW 750. And so I was like, I'm going to have a black truck. And I'm going to have a house by myself. And I'm going to have some degrees. I'm going to have my PhD. Like, I just knew all of these things. And not realizing that that fantasy that I felt so deeply in my soul required me to be divorced. And maybe it didn't. Maybe I could have went out and bought a second house by myself. However, when something happened in our marriage, it was my out. Like, it was my out. It was my out. It was my freedom. It was me being able to leave and become this person that I fantasized about all these years. It took me a while to get there. Don't have a BMW, but I have my black truck. I have my own house and all these other things. I have my degrees. I intentionally didn't go back for my PhD because I see so many people sit on that dissertation. I didn't have time for it, so I did a second master's instead. But I will one day get it when I have more time on my hands and I could do it more leisurely than hustle and bustle. Then the other time that I can remember of something, I do it constantly, but these are like the bigger things that I can remember something that I manifest was. And when I used to manifest that of being this independent woman, I mean, I did it. It was serious. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, one day. It was just in my soul. I'm laughing because I remember one day laying on my floor at our house together, and I was just laying there like, I really want this. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted it. And it's crazy, and I feel bad. Like, a part of me feel bad because divorce is never good for anyone involved, and we could have worked through our problems literally because it wasn't that serious. But I really wanted it. So that's why I always say be honest with yourself. Not everybody want to be married. Not everybody want to have kids. Know what you want. Know what you want and want to do in life. Because if you don't, you just ruin everybody else's life in your process. But anyway, so that was one of the bigger ones. And the next one was my son. I just remember I always wanted him. Since the time they were here, education has been big for me with them, even though we live in Arizona. I wanted them to be black excellence. I did. I remember when I had my son, not only did I have to argue with the nurses about being married, because they kept saying I wasn't married. They said, oh, so many young girls come in here and say that their boyfriends are their husbands. I was like, he is my husband. I'm not making this up. I'm like, Mom, tell these people, because my mom was in there, tell these people this is my husband. She's like, they're married, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. And I remember I had my son, my oldest, and she said, welcome to the world, kid. Life is hard. And I just remember looking at her like, like, who was you talking to? I know you're not talking to my kid. Like, he's 2 seconds old. Like, no, his life will be seamless. And I wanted my kids, I wanted black excellence for them. And so even through the divorce, when things changed with my finances, I made sure that they had experiences. I take them out of town. We haven't made it out of the country yet, but we will. And I do things for them because I'm trying to give them that head start in life. And so I taught them really early. I taught them a lot of stuff. And they all started school early. And they were smart, so they did. And I always went and I found schools that could challenge them in Arizona the best as I could. And so when my oldest came to, it was time for him to go to high school, I had always wanted him to go to a private high school. I don't even know why. I have no idea why, but I always did. And we were looking, and obviously tuition it's no joke. It's as much as a university. And so we were looking, and I started looking at charter schools, but charter schools didn't have a football team. And like it was literally the week before they were getting ready to start high school. Someone called me and was like, hey, this school is looking for boys who play football. They're giving a nice little discount. Don't get me wrong, I still paid. It was a little baby car payment. But I was like, they were like, they're looking for boys who play football, and they want them to come to the school. Got all his stuff together in 4 years. He went to a private high school, and I won't say it had its pros and its cons. Life does. I mean, being on my own, right? The fantasy that I had its pros and its cons. I mean, now I pay everything by myself. Who was running to try to pay everything by themselves? I don't know. I was. My son going to that school had its pros and its cons. However, he did it, you know. And there's been other times that I've done it before. And I just say all that to say this. So if you have dreams, this is so awkward talking about myself. But, anyways, if you have dreams and you really want them, just believe it wholeheartedly. Believe it. See it. Fantasize about it. If the dream is too large and you feel like it will never happen for you, make it smaller. I had to do that with some dreams where I felt like this is never gonna happen. I can't even see how this is gonna happen. But I make it smaller, and guess what? When I go to sleep and when I wake up, those are the first things that I started to think about. The same way I did. I don't know, like talking about myself, but I just want y'all to know that this stuff works. So make it smaller. You know, your dream job might seem like it's out of your reach. Then just imagine yourself looking up the job online. Imagine yourself filling out the resume. Imagine yourself getting the interview. Imagine yourself picking out your outfit for your interview. Imagine yourself driving to the location. Imagine yourself being in the interview with the interviewer. And imagine yourself saying yes, negotiating salaries, whatever it is that you need to do. Imagine the location. Imagine your start date. Is it fall? Is it winter? Is it summer? You know, all of these different things. Start small with the vision and hold on to that and believe it. Like I know for a fact that it's a real thing. It is a super real thing. Sometimes when I drive up to my house to this day, I still see I'm gonna get emotional. I get emotional because I'm like, if this is not the stuff I was looking at in my little vision 12 years ago, you know, I'm back up in here in the mountains. I get to see the mountains every day. I was like, that's so crazy. It's so crazy, but it's a real thing. All right, y'all. Wishing you guys all healthier, happier habits. I don't condone divorce. Not at all. When you have your visions, include your family, include your loved ones and your kids. Don't be on some island by yourself knowing you got like kids at home. I mean, because it could happen. But wishing y'all healthier, happy habits. Sorry, this is a long video. I just want to say that I am passionate about creating the life you want. As some of you may see, this year on my Create the Life I Wanted was my body, my health, my weight, my exercising, my fitness. We'll talk about that another time, but I stopped being scared and I started doing the work, and here it is. All right.